What's up?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I want to apologize up front. I am away from my normal place of recording, and it is going to be a struggle today, but I'm going to try to power through it. Right now, the StreamYard is telling me that my connection is slow and not cool, and I can't say anything, but I apologize. I'm doing my best out here in the streets.
Where are you at right now, Nick? Baghdad?
Yeah, right. I'm in Pennsylvania.
So they have better internet in Baghdad as of now than Pennsylvania.
100%. They absolutely had better internet when I was in the Middle East than they do right now in middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. Like, this is like not civilization. I passed by a whole bunch of cows on the way here, though.
I like the shades on the window that is totally the wrong size, but somebody just said the hell with it and threw it up there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they didn't know how to use a ruler at all, or like a tape measure or anything of that matter. But let's get it going. All right, so it's that time of year.
Yeah.
Baseball's going, basketball's going, hockey's going. The NFL draft is in like a week. There's a lot going on right now. It's really busy out there. Right now, the Yankees are getting their asses waxed 9-0 against the Minnesota Twins in the first inning. And you know what? I got to be honest with you. I don't get worried about these things. And I'll tell you why I don't get worried. It's real simple. They're not playing their best guys right now. This is a rookie pitcher. What is this? His third start of the season. Yeah. He's getting his ass beat. And what can you ask about that other than like, hey, you know, it happens, you know, just it happens, and such is life. And what are you gonna do about it? But Yankees are getting their asses beat 9-0. Burrito's on the mound, and it is what it is. You're going to get a bad start here and there. It happens, and I'm not surprised that it's the rookie in his third major league start in the history of his very young career. I would just tell Yankee fans, relax, because, you know, knee-jerk reaction. Everybody was on their high horse about this kid, saying, hey, Burrito's killing it. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And now you're seeing what everybody else sees with normal, you know, growing pains.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. This is the one thing that irks me about baseball a little bit, and I love baseball. We played baseball together for years. Love the game of baseball. It's just at 162 games, it bothers me that I'm not concerned about losses, especially at 9-0 shitty first inning. But that's what irritates me, the fact that like it does mean nothing, because for the next, I would say, almost 2 months, almost every game means nothing. Obviously, you can't lose them all, but if you play 500 baseball, which, I mean, the Yankees with their roster and the spending that they do, if they don't play at least 500 ball, I mean, tear down the stadium, pull up the bricks, and sell it all off. But it's just funny how, I guess there's no intensity right now for me as a fan, and I don't think there's any intensity as a player.
Well, the problem with baseball is that we've gotten into a mode with like the other sports where everybody and their mother makes the playoffs. If everybody and their mother didn't make the playoffs, you'd be seeing a lot more. You got to remember back in the day when they came up with this 162 game season, only 2 teams made the playoffs.
Right.
So how you started the season was honestly more likely more important than how you finished the season. Because if you weren't one of 2 good teams to start the season, your games in August didn't matter because you were already out.
I was going to say at that point, I mean, the joke that we make about the Mets being out of the playoff contention by the end of May was true about most of the teams back then.
Yeah.
If you didn't get out to a hot start, it was over. But listen, I like the games. I like the 162 games. I'm not going to sit here and bash how many teams get in the playoffs because you know what? When my team gets in, I'm happy about it, and I'm sure every other fan does.
My team's competitive. I will absolutely bash these teams that get in and they're like the 8th wild card. Shit is embarrassing. Okay,
I'm not saying
it means absolutely nothing.
I'm not saying that it's not embarrassing, and I'm not. What makes it embarrassing is the fans and how they celebrate it. Like, oh yeah, we're the last ones to get in. It's like, just shut up. Just sit there and be quiet and watch your team. And if they move on from the shit situation that they're in, then start the talking process and the YouTube videos and the 45-year-old men dancing outside the stadium, wasting their time. Like then you could do that BS. But like, get past the first, like, I guess the wild card game. Get through that little bullshit series, if you can even call it a series.
Well, now you get the teams. I don't know if you noticed this, but there are teams that started hanging wild card banners in their stadium. Like, and honestly, that one game wild card play-in, that shit don't count. Baseball's not a one-game wild card thing.
It doesn't count. Like, your banner should just be like a piece of toilet paper that somebody wiped their ass with and be like, that's our season. That's what you hang up on the wall and you say, would you guys like to be better than use toilet paper? Let's try again this year. If not, you're going to stare at that.
That if you get to that one game wild card and lose and you put up a banner, that banner should say played one extra game.
Dude, they put up the banner so they can add like an extra 65 cents to the beer.
That's a fact. Let's talk about beer for a second. A couple of teams in Major League Baseball have decided to continue to sell beer into the 8th inning due to the fact that Major League Baseball added a nonsensical clock for no reason whatsoever other than to appease TV networks, and now games are actually shorter. So once upon a time, TJ and I went down there and threw down money and bought 10 beers before the 7th, and now we can only drink 6.
I mean, I'm still game to try to get 10 in before the 7th, but then we definitely have to take mass transit.
That's a fact.
But we won't be the only people urinating on the train, so that is a good thing. A little coverage.
In New York, not anymore. I mean, some guy might be screaming, why are you urinating in my house? But, you know, it is what it is. I mean,
it's a fact. It's a fact.
Man, he has a point.
He does. I mean, it's disrespectful. But you know what? It's funny. If you don't know, these beer laws and rules come into effect mostly because people win these irrational lawsuits against stadiums and franchise teams. That's where they come about. If you're a normal individual, and obviously we're joking about drinking 10 beers, but if we drink 3 or 4 beers over the course of a 3.5-hour game, we are still leaving that parking lot sober because it takes us about 45 minutes to get to our car, then another 30 minutes to get out of the damn parking lot. But still, you're having a couple beers, you're getting out of there sober like a responsible adult. The reason why they have to put limits on this is there are a lot of adults that are not responsible. There's a lot of adults that are like, oh, party. And then all of a sudden the game ends and they're like, oh, shit, reality just hit me and I can't drive home, but I'm still going to try anyway because I'm an asshole. That's one aspect of the assholeness. And then the second aspect is then blaming the stadium for over-serving you. It's like, dude, how is it their fault that they provided you with alcohol? You walked up there and decided, hey, I want to buy a beer. And then you got shit-faced and you can't handle your alcohol. And instead of being smart and saying, let me sleep it off or get a cab, you drive home and then you want to blame everybody else.
Yeah, this was a quote from Matt Strom of the Philadelphia Phillies, courtesy of Baseball Isn't Boring and ESPN. The reason that we stopped selling alcohol in the 7th before was to give our fans time to sober up and drive home safe, correct? So now with a faster paced game, if the game is going to finish quicker, would we not move beer sales back to the 6th inning to give our fans time to sober up and drive home? Instead, we're going to the 8th, and now you're putting our fans and our family at risk driving home with people who have just drank beers 22 minutes ago. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that a person that's drunk sobers up in the final 3 innings of the game. I'm not saying that.
Right, but his mentality makes more sense than the MLB's.
And that's my problem is that he's saying that, oh, the reason that we did this was for safety. That's a lie. They did it because owners don't like bad publicity. That's why they don't. And like you're right, somebody definitely sued MLB because they sold a beer in the 8th inning or the 9th inning, and then the person went out and accidentally killed somebody, and that's what happened. But it's not about safety at all. It's about revenue. It is. MLB owners only care when you kill somebody drunk driving or you die drunk driving because
if they have to pay out. That's the only time they care. If they have to pay out.
It looks bad because it says in the newspaper the next day, Yankee fan kills family of 4 on way home drunk from game. Right. And now it says Yankee fan. Now it looks bad. And then the other thing is they hate the lost revenue because now you're a fan that died and they won't make back that fan that's no longer buying tickets to the game. But MLB does not give a shit about the fans or the game.
It's optics alone.
It's about money. It's all about money. So, yeah, I think a lot of people predicted this. You and I definitely said, yeah, they're going to end up having to sell beers. They're going to get upset when they lose, $100,000 a year because people aren't buying as many beers or people aren't buying as many jerseys or hats or whatever the case might be. And here we are, and there's I think 3 teams already extended the hours that they would be selling alcohol at the game.
I mean, listen, I'm a libertarian, you know that. I'm more for, hey, let people do what they want, especially if it's in the realm of the law, and people should be responsible for themselves. But clearly, like, that's not America. America is, hey, who can I blame this shit on? Because clearly it's not my fault. Just because I'm an adult doesn't mean I should be allowed to make my own decisions. Well, it's kind of sad.
I listen, you're right, but at the same time, I'm kind of looking at it like if I threw a party at my house, I'm kind of responsible for you having a good time.
While I agree, it's that's a personal thing. That's more personal and personable. Like, you're gonna see me leaving your house and be like, yo, T, dude, give me your keys. Like, it's not happening. And as a friend, as my best friend, I expect you, if I struggle with it and I'm like, no, I'm still leaving, to just clock me, knock me out, one swift move, put me in a chokehold or something like that, put me in bed and be like, you'll feel better in the morning. That's it. I just saved your life, buddy. And that, you know what I mean? But like when you have what does Yankee Stadium hold? 60 something, 63?
Something like that.
1,000 fans, 58,000 fans, whatever it is. You don't get the personal experience. They cannot be responsible for everybody. Barring them putting a little breathalyzer thing there like they're the police, and hey, you want to buy a beer? No problem, blow into this. All right, you're under the legal limit. We still got an hour left before you possibly leave. Because listen, who's to say I don't hammer down 9 beers in the first, second, and third inning and then take off by the 4th? Is that on the MLB? Is that on the team? No.
That would be so impressive if you did that.
I mean, at that point, I would just, if I'm only staying for 4 innings, might as well just go to a bar and save myself about $95.
I do go to that bar. That bar is called Stan's. It's across the street. I think we're both saying the same thing. MLB is going to be extending. They're going to be extending the amount of time that you can go and throw yourself back a frosty cold one. Maybe they change it and they're like, hey, listen, you can only buy beer after the 7th inning. You can't buy liquor, so the guys aren't buying 35 shots in the 8th inning.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, but I do know that the owners only care about the lost revenue, not necessarily about the danger that a fan brings to himself or other fans for that matter. The Tampa Bay Rays are a crazy run right now. They've won 13 games straight.
13 games straight, dude.
Against a bunch of little league teams, apparently, and it seems to be something to be really proud of, that they're beating these teams that
the Yankees can't even crushed by a little league team in the first. So
I wouldn't call the Minnesota Twins a little league team. They're a half decent team. They're not a good club by any stretch of the imagination. They're not a great club, but they do have some good players on their team, and they're playing a rookie. They're starting a rookie pitcher tonight. I mean, it's going to fall apart at some point. It always does. No rookie dominates for the entirety of the year. And Burrito he didn't have the stuff tonight. It happens.
Right.
But at the same token, as a fan, I'm not going to sit here and toot my horn about beating teams that shouldn't have any business contending with me. And I'm sorry, but the Tampa Bay Rays have played against 3 inept franchises right now to start the season in the Oakland Athletics, the Washington Nationals, and I forget who they opened the season against, but it wasn't good. They're playing the Red Sox right now, who don't have pitching. Their best pitcher is Corey Kluber. Tell me that 5 years ago, and I'm like, wow, Corey Kluber's a really good pitcher. But other than a no-hitter he threw for the Yankees, recently, 2 years ago, he threw a no-hitter against Texas for the Yankees. Corey Kluber's not really anything to write home about.
No.
So So to sit there and try and like jazz up the freaking Rays because they're playing the deaf and the blind, like they're going to be the bee's knees and the cat's pajamas for the rest of the season, a little ludicrous, I think. I mean, I'm an asshole, so I could be wrong, but the last two teams to start this hot did not win the World Series, so it is absolutely indicative of nothing. By the way, cheers, Guff.
Cheers, brother.
Now, normally I wouldn't drink a beer out of a bottle, but it's tough times, man. I'm in a room. I'm the only person that's living here right now that has a room. Everybody else is in an open bay.
It's better than a red Solo cup. Not that I'm against red Solo cups, but out the glass is a little classier. And then if you get angry, you can always use it as a weapon.
It's a Christmas beer.
Ooh, Mad Elf. A little Trogs action. Very nice.
A little extra strength right there. A little extra strength.
Yeah, I'm going with something a little crisp, a little Dogfish Head, Sea Quench Ale.
That's fancy.
It's hot out today. It always quenches the thirst. I was out there raking out the leaves in my yard and only got about halfway done and wanted to hang myself because why do I wait until the spring to rake my yard? Because I'm lazy in the fall and I like getting, blistering heat rain down upon me in 87-degree weather to just show myself that I'm an idiot. Listen.
Your time is yours.
Talking about a team that is quite lucky and enjoys a good beating or two is the New York Mets. New York Mets 7-6 right now, starting at their typical just barely above 500 or just below 500 baseball, which is, I mean, at this point, I think we expect it from the Mets. The Mets always float at that 500 mark for like the first half of the season, if not longer.
You know what? I would agree with you. Normally, I would agree with you. But truthfully, that's not necessarily the case. Only because, as we know, as New Yorkers, and we see it all the time, the Mets start out, and every Met fan is like, "We believe."
Yeah, but that doesn't matter to it doesn't matter to the standings, bro. Because how often than not do we look at the NL and we're like, seriously, the team in front is 8 games above 500, and everybody's in the hunt, like within 4 or 5 games of that. Most of the year, like it's kind of comical, dude. Like right now, the Mets are right behind the Braves, who are 9-4. Again, we're only 13, 14 games into the season. What does it matter? But I always feel like the NL is they just hover around the few games above 500, and that's the most you're going to get. Did we lose Nick? We might have lost Nick. So it's just me ranting and raving right now.
TJ.
Oh, there we go. He's back.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
It's good.
Yeah. It's. But you know what though? The way I'm looking at it though is every Met fan gets excited that this is our year, we believe, and then by June they're out of it and they're done. Well, except for recently, because again, 30 teams make the playoffs.
And you know what? Listen, I really, as much as I dislike to, because we quite enjoy busting our Met fans' friends' balls, and it's all in good fun. We're all New Yorkers. But listen, you got an owner that's dropping money left and right. You have an owner that took a beating last year as far as profit goes. What did he lose? Like something like $50-something million? The
Mets were the biggest losers last year, and that is not a compliment or a joke. They lost the most money.
The compliment is sitting there saying that their owner Cohen is still willing to drop money and still willing to make moves to make this team successful. So I think as a Met fan, you should be excited. You have every right to be excited because it seems like their team is destined to, at some point, I would say in the next 5 years, make an absolute run at it. And if not, Steve Cohen's going to make a run on a bank or two and steal back some of the money he's throwing into this team.
For me, I start to think that they're going to, at some point as an owner, a major change needs to be made, or you need to start saving money somewhere because you can't just throw money down the well. I don't care how rich you are. Nobody does that. Nobody sits there and continues to invest in a failing product without a plan to make that product successful. So at some point, the Mets got to make money back for Steve Cohen, or else he's going to because the Wilpons used to throw sexy money at the Mets too until they started losing money every year.
Right. And you know what? I will say this. The fans do show up. Met fans are loyal. They do show up to the stadium. They have a very nice stadium over there at Citi Field. I like what they did as far as their manager goes. I don't think it gets better than bringing Buck Showalter in. We both like the old school baseball mentality. We both like that.
if only for the good luck, because Buck Showalter has become the manager at multiple teams, and after he left, the team went to the World Series. So, if I remember, it was the Yankees,
Yes.
the Diamondbacks, and the Rangers all went to the World Series after he was fired. So, if anything, it's like a good luck mojo. The only team that couldn't keep it going was the Orioles. Is anybody surprised by that? But
not at all. I mean, the Orioles are like the A's; they don't spend money.
But that's we're done with baseball. I don't have my buzzer, but we're done for baseball. We're gonna segue poorly, mind you. This is a bad segue, but again, I'm out in the field. You guys got to cut me a little slack. Cut me some slack. I'm out here in these streets. Nobody taking grenades in the trenches by myself. But we're gonna go, and I'm watching the Rangers game while I'm out here doing my thing. And it's right now. It's the end of the first period. Rangers are tied 0-0 with the Toronto Maple Leafs, or make-believes, as I like to call them, the make-believes, because they like to make believe they're actually a good franchise. But NHL hockey is coming up.
Are we doing this? We doing this right now? We going right into the meat and potatoes, baby?
Neck deep into it. Just straight into the deep end. No toesy touching. Oh, is the water cold? It's ice, baby. It's always cold, and I'm ready. Talk to me about it. Talk to me, T.
All right. So we have the New York Rangers essentially locked into third place, but tonight is going to decide where the Rangers go. We're going to be on the road one way or the other, but are we going to ride across the bridge into New Jersey, or are we going down south to play Carolina Hurricanes in the playoffs? Right now, the Rangers on the road, which is good news for us, but it's marginally good news. The Rangers on the road are 24-9-8 versus at home 23-12-5. So, like I said, marginal, a little slightly better on the road, which is good for us. 3-1-0 versus the Hurricanes this season, and 1-2-1 against the Devils this season. It's a catch-22. Either way, we kind of throw who we'd rather play. I mean, it's not in our hands right now. We got to see what the Devils do. I believe the Devils were losing 2-0 to the Washington Capitals when I last checked, and the Hurricanes were playing also tonight. I believe they were up 1-0. I don't recall who they were playing, but to sit here and say that I'd rather, obviously based on the 4 games we played against the Hurricanes, 3-1, I'd rather take on the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes are a phenomenal team, and I don't want to sit there and say that we stack up better than against them. But I think I'd rather play the Hurricanes just for the fact that the Devils are a young and fast team, and I'd rather see them get banged up a little bit in the first round. Either way, I think they move on to the second round. It's just I'd rather them get some bumps and bruises and take a couple nice hip checks off the boards and come in hopefully after a 5-game series, rather, battling some injuries and then play the Rangers, because, you know, the Rangers always take it to the distance, whoever they play first round, and it's always a nail biter, and we always get the pains and the bumps and the bruises, and Lindgren is essentially like a friggin' Civil War soldier just taped up and has one eye, and we're just putting a stump in where his leg used to be, and he's just out there battling. You know what I mean?
You know what? But it's that grit that we love. It's that absolute grit that we love. And honestly, I agree with you about playing against the Canes, and I do honestly, I'm opposite of you. I think that we do fare well. I'm not saying that we can't perform well against the Devils. I'm saying I know we will perform better against Carolina, and I'd like to get that momentum going into the playoffs.
Either way, dude. I mean, the Devils 110 points, Carolina 111 points, and I think the Rangers are sitting at what, 108 or 109,
something like that,
right? Dude,
but
stellar season for all 3 teams in the same friggin' Metro Division.
But bear in mind that we just went down to Carolina and beat them.
Yeah, I was gonna say we beat them. What? What was it?
If I remember right, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. It was like 6-0.
Right. So I mean, the playoffs start April 17th. The Rangers obviously don't know who they're playing yet. They don't know if they're starting on the 17th or the 18th. We don't have a schedule out yet. But either way, the Rangers are going to be on the road. Rangers only 21 losses, regular game losses. Yes, regular time, no overtime. 21 losses. We are second only to Boston, who is just and untouchable at this point. Let's call it what it is. Boston is a problem. Anybody going up against Boston, I feel bad for you. And I mean, try to hang in there for more than 3 games because it's sick, dude. Boston's having a year, man. Boston's having an Avalanche type of year like the Avalanche had last year, but better, which is crazy.
I don't feel bad for anybody playing Boston because if I have to feel bad for other people playing Boston, then that means that if the Rangers come across Boston down the road, I got to feel bad for the Rangers. And I do not accept anything in Boston as being a threat to New York. All right. Boston is a substandard piece of the world. All right. As the New York Rangers score a goal, Capo Caco.
Baby. Nick rocking the Caco Tuesday shirt.
I do. I got my Caco Tuesday shirt on. Kako with the goal. He's been on fire. The kids have been on fire the last couple of weeks. He's been putting up a lot of points, though.
Absolutely, man. If nothing else, going into the playoffs, I am very excited. I think Igor is having a better second half of the year than he had the first half of the year. I think, given the fact that Halak is I don't even want to use the word. Usually when we say backups, we say the word serviceable. He is better than serviceable. He can start on probably 20 out of 30 teams right now.
Yeah.
So I love what's going on. Halak started the game tonight, by the way. Igor getting the rest. I love the way Igor's been playing down the stretch. I love the way the kid line's been playing down the stretch. Patrick Kane has been, I don't want to say surprising because we knew he had the offensive talent, but I think the surprising part is the burst of speed you're getting from him. Every time that guy carries the puck, he's taking off like he's a young man again. Not to say that he's an old man, but he's not spry anymore, and he's playing like
he's invigorated.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think he's definitely invigorated. I think he definitely maybe plunged the needle of adrenaline into the leg and said, screw it. I don't got a hip injury. I'm going to just plow through and we're going to go for that cup this year because this may be my last opportunity.
Talking about Patrick Kane, a friend of his is apparently this is his last season. Taves has now come out to say that he's retiring from the NHL after a long career with the Blackhawks. Yes. From what I understand, and this is Taves' last season. There's been some rumblings about possibly some other big names that are, hockey legends at this point. Also, maybe this is their last year, or also a long time playoff contenders and playoff participants no longer making it, i.e., the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Let's go.
If you're sad about the Penguins not making the playoffs, then you're just what was the meme? You're an evil person or something like that.
Yeah.
I could not be more happy. If you're not sad about the Penguins missing the playoffs, you're an evil person. I am the most evil human being that ever lived. Fuck them. They don't deserve to make the playoffs.
Dude, not for nothing. You know what? All the shit talking that the Penguins do from Schittsburg, Pennsylvania, where Nick is currently probably right outside of. That's why the internet sucks. You deserve it. You know what? You guys had a hot couple years. We had to deal with this Sidney Crosby bullshit forever. And now he's at the end of his career. He's on the back nine. I'm not saying he doesn't have 3 or 4 years left in him. And I'm not saying that he's the player still, but he's not the player that he used to be. And Malkin is definitely not the player that he used to be. So it's great for a Ranger fan or a Devils fan or a Flyer fan or a Bruins fan or, we've gotten picked apart by this team for a while now. We held our own. We knocked them out of the playoffs a couple times in recent history. And that's great and all, but I mean, I'm sick and tired of the Sidney Crosbys of the league. He irritates the hell out of you when he's on the ice, at least when he was younger, starting fights and then skating away, playing the almost Tom Brady-esque game of bitching to the refs nonstop. And then, listen, he's a great playmaker, but he's not really the guy anymore. And I'm sick of Pittsburgh fans throwing him in your face nonstop. His time has come. It's past. Those banners are in your arena. That's awesome. Good for you. You missed out on the playoffs this season. Suck it up, Buttercup. Deal with it. How many teams make the playoffs? And you aren't one of them. And you have, arguably the greatest player in the NHL right now. Nuh-uh. It's Connor McDavid time. And Alexander Ovechkin is still hammering away at the net. He's out tonight. I believe he's still a little on the injured side going in, but Alexander Ovechkin searching. He's not retiring. He's never going to hang up the skates, and Washington will run him out there for the next 10 seasons if it takes to break Gretzky's goal-scoring record. So it's going to happen. You're going to see it. The type of attitude he has, he's going to keep coming out there and shooting the puck. and they're going to keep feeding them because what else does Washington have going for it right now? But I couldn't be happier about the Pittsburgh Penguins. All this shit talking their fans did. We posted a couple TikToks out there for when the Rangers played the Penguins, and the Penguins fans are very, very angry, very nasty in the comments, very nasty to us in general. And now they're going to be watching golf, basketball playoffs, I guess, for New York.
We talked about it. We talked about it when we were talking about baseball. I mean, the conversation goes that, baseball was always special by comparison to its peers as a top sport in America, in that not everybody made the playoffs in baseball. I will say I like hockey a lot. Everybody makes the playoffs in hockey. All you have to be is a top 16 team, and there aren't 32 teams. So you don't even have to be the top 50%. You can be like the top 60%, and you make the playoffs in hockey. So that just goes to tell you where the Pittsburgh Penguins are as far as their ability to win games in the NHL at this present time, where you're not even a top 60% team.
I will say this, though. The only problem with that is now the Islanders sneaking in, and it means it's a lot worse if the Rangers run into the Islanders at some point in the playoffs and lose versus losing to the Penguins, because at least I have to visibly – I don't have to get into a fist fight with a Penguins fan because it's very rare that I'm going to run into one. But if an Islander fan steps up to me and has to give me that bullshit with their Bossy jersey on because they don't have anybody since him, okay, they all suck. Barzell is a garbage dumpster fire player. I don't want to hear this shit. Okay.
You're a garbage man. You would know about garbage dumpster fires.
Damn straight. Okay. If I come across another damn Matt Martin jersey in the garbage, I'm going to freak out. I'm going to send it to Boomer Esiason live on WFAN. Let him have it. Here you go. Give this to your daughter. But I don't want to have to run into an Islander fan talking shit, because I won't run into a Pittsburgh fan talking shit. And honestly, let's call it what it is. Pennsylvania people are generally pretty nice and not nasty about what they have to say. And they're a little bit lackluster when it comes to the trash talk. You know what I mean? It's lackadaisical, and it's not that visceral violence that New York City brings to the table.
Okay, first of all, the Islanders aren't New York City. They're from Long Island.
You pretend New York City.
Second of all, Philly?
Pittsburgh?
I was just saying, you said Pennsylvania people. Philly is in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but the Philly's its own, like...
They threw ice like snowballs at Santa Claus.
I know, but I don't consider Philadelphia part of Pennsylvania. The reason why I don't consider Philadelphia part of Pennsylvania, hear me out, is because they play by their own rules. How do they play by their own rules? If you have a carry permit, right, a concealed carry permit for Pennsylvania, it's good everywhere except Philadelphia, because Philadelphia runs their own rules and kind of institutes their own laws. So they think they're above the laws of Pennsylvania, i.e., they're their own. It's like Pretoria in Family Guy. They kind of annex their own little piece of land, and everybody's fine with it. You know what I mean? You got the Ben Franklin Bridge holding them off against coming into New Jersey. Even Camden needs a little space off of them, and Camden's got nothing going for it other than gunshot victims.
I'm going to stop you right there and move forward, because I just can't absorb what you just said. But I do agree.
They're on their own little island, even though they don't have water around them.
I do agree entirely with what you're saying, and it reminds me of years ago when the Giants played the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and I had a lot of people going, well, you're rooting for the Giants, right? Because I'm a Jets fan, and I was like, no, I hope the stadium collapses and nobody makes it out alive. And they were like, why wouldn't you root for the Giants? I said, well, that's real simple. I don't know any Patriots fans, and Giants fans don't shut the fuck up. So, they'll be telling me about how Eli Manning is the greatest thing since sliced bread, even though he cannot spell his first name forever. And here we are 10 years later, and they still tell me about how he belongs in the Hall of Fame, even though he has led the league in nothing but turnovers for the duration of his career. And he literally only got drafted in the first round because his brother is Peyton Manning. Like, he is the Ben Verlander of football. Like, right. except he actually plays, unlike Ben Verlander, who just takes up space. But talking about football, the NHL draft
I just want to say one thing before we get away from hockey, and that's Sidney Crosby. I hope you cuddle Pierre Maguire and he rocks you to sleep while you don't make the playoffs, and you watch it from your $1 million mansion somewhere in Pennsylvania.
He's going to be sitting in the shower with his knees up to his chest crying.
Crying game? Sorry to interrupt, Nick. Back to football.
No, that's good. That's good. So the NFL draft starts in, I want to say it's about a week. I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's about a week. NFL draft starts. New York Jets in a lot of conversations with Aaron Rodgers, still the ongoing saga. At this point, it's gotten to a saga, but I am not worried about it by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of these Packers fans, they're getting high on their own cheese, and they think they're going to get the free world. They think that they're going to get what they want. They think they're going to somehow fleece Joe Douglas, who is King Fleece. I've never seen a man wear more fucking mink coats than Joe Douglas, and that man fleeces the world. I mean, just look at it real quick. The Packers GM, I cannot pronounce his name. They call him Goot something. His name's like Gutenhurst or Gutenkurst or something like that.
Not important enough to know.
But, either way, he traded Devontae Adams for a first-round pick and a second-round pick. Now, arguably, Devontae Adams is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. And he got a first and a second-round pick for this guy. We traded Jamal Adams, who's not even good at the position he's supposed to be playing. And we got 2 firsts, a third, and a player for Jamal Adams and and a fourth. And we're over here playing chess. They're playing checkers.
How did Jamal Adams work out, by the way?
Oh my goodness! I'm pretty sure he's one of the top paid safeties in the league, and he's played in like 50% of the games since he got in that. I mean,
those 50% of the games that he played in, he hasn't even played well.
He got exposed like Marlon Wayans in the movie Naked. He got exposed. The draft's coming up. What do you see with our New York Jets needing to shore up their team?
It's so to touch on what you said. Obviously, do I think Aaron Rodgers is coming here? I do think Aaron Rodgers is coming here. Joe Douglas went to that WFAN thing where they're mad at him because he ran off at the mouth saying that he's definitely coming here. The reason why I'm not upset about that is the only reason he would, in a position that he's in, be able to say something like that. And it's not like he was sitting there partying it up and was just absolutely hammered and somebody handed him the microphone was like, here you go, embarrass yourself and get yourself into trouble. Like, he's sitting there all well and good and sober and kind of obviously he's showboating for the fans a little bit because a shit ton of Jet fans are there. But he has a confidence about him that he knows exactly what's going on. And anybody that says that, oh, now you just put the ball in the Packers' court. No, you didn't. The Packers are either going to give him over to the Jets for a draft pick or 2, right? Or he's going to sit out and Aaron Rodgers has no qualms with screwing over the Green Bay Packers if they don't give him what he wants. He wants to come to the Jets. The Jets are going to gracefully accept him, of course. And this is what's going on right now. The Green Bay Packers are going to try to get as much as they can for him because obviously he's Aaron Rodgers. He's a great talent. Even though he's got a year or 2 left in football in him, probably maybe 3. So they're going to want to get a little bit because he's still going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's still a guy that can sling the ball. He's still better than about 70% of the league, if not more. So they want to get something for him. But unfortunately, the ball is only in Aaron Rodgers' court. He gets to decide, yeah, all right, you don't want to trade me? That's cool. I'm not going anywhere but the Jets. And if you don't like it, I'm just going to sit on the sidelines and watch and nod and smile. And
make $60 million.
Correct. So I think Rodgers is coming here. The reason why I love that is not just because Aaron Rodgers is a phenomenal quarterback. It's because I think Zach Wilson puts himself in a position to learn from somebody that has been through the gauntlet of the NFL, that has won a Super Bowl, that knows things. You know what I mean? And if he can be smart and sit there and sit back and learn and take his medicine as, listen, you got your rookie start. It didn't work out. The next year didn't work out either. But that doesn't mean it's over. It could still be Zach Wilson time in a year or 2. Do what you got to do to put yourself in a position to make it Zach Wilson time. Learn everything you can from Aaron Rodgers. Sit there with him. Dude, shadow him everywhere. Learn how he showers, for God's sakes. How he clips his toenails. Whatever you got to do, my man, because that's the dude to learn from. There's only a couple goats left in this league as far as quarterbacks go that you can learn from, and he's probably top 3 that you want to be sitting behind as a young man with talent. He has talent, no doubt about it. He's got the physical ability. So you want to be in the position that he's in right now if Aaron Rodgers comes to New York. Dude, everybody's going to be envious of Zach Wilson. Everybody in this draft, last year's draft, and the draft before is envious of Zach Wilson being able to sit behind this man and learn from him because there's a huge upside and not a big downside.
Yeah, and you got to remember that he's also kind of has a good rapport with Wilson, where they have communicated in the past to try to. He's tried to help Wilson. So if they could continue that, and I'm not sitting here saying that Zach Wilson is going to be a great quarterback. I don't think I've ever said that Zach Wilson is going to be a good quarterback. Although I was accused of that you're a Wilson fan. I've never said that Zach Wilson was going to be good or that Zach Wilson was good. I've said that we need to support Zach Wilson as you should support somebody who plays for your team, because ideally you want your team to win. I know it's crazy, right?
Yeah. So I mean, as far as where do I see us like shoring things up a little bit?
Right,
dude. I thought the Jets were great offensively. I thought they were great defensively. I think it's kind of hard to say we're really lacking somewhere.
So the question, I guess the question then becomes like, where do you want to see a little extra?
Listen, I don't think, especially depending on where they're going to be, because I don't think they're giving up a first round this year for Aaron Rodgers. I think that's out of the question. So I think if the Jets are sitting there at first round, I think you always got to go offensive in this situation first, knowing that their defense is pretty damn good. I would say if we went after a wide receiver, especially if we're bringing in Aaron Rodgers, a young talent. And I'm not saying that we're lacking a wide receiver right now, but what I'm saying is you always want to be a step ahead and build for the future. And that's one place you can build for the future.
It's like pizza. It's good no matter what.
Listen, 100%. In the morning, cold, at night, doesn't matter. You find it in the garbage. If it doesn't have any garbage on it, it's still in the box. It's good pizza.
How's it go? There's no such thing as bad pizza or bad sex.
It's true.
Drafting a top tier wide receiver is like pizza or sex. You know, yeah. I mean, unless he's a complete bust, it's never a bad idea. You can't have too many good wide receivers. There's no such thing.
I like options, but
only if you have a glaring hole elsewhere. Other than that, there's no such thing as I got too many receivers. I don't know what to do. Unless one of your receivers is Elijah Moore, and who starts bitching about not getting the ball.
Right. But what do you think? Where you're more the X's and O's guy. You pay attention to the draft a lot more than I do. What are you looking at as the Jets go into the draft?
Going into the draft, the Jets probably do go wide receiver in the first round, presuming they still have a first round pick and they don't do something crazy. I mean, they could. Tomorrow they could say, listen, the Aaron Rodgers thing is not going to happen. We're pivoting over to Lamar Jackson. We're giving away our first round pick.
Right.
That could happen. We're giving away our next 2 first round picks, whatever. I don't know. It's a struggle to even try to guesstimate where they end up in 3 weeks or tomorrow for that matter. So I could definitely see them going wide receiver in the first round. There's a lot of options in this NFL draft coming up this year. I wish that Marvin Harrison Jr. was the guy that was coming out this year, but it doesn't look to be that way. It's going to be Jackson Smith and Jigba coming out of Ohio State, and who knows Garrett Wilson. They obviously played together. That's always a good feeling. You always feel good going forward that he has some familiarity with another player and they can jive a little bit together.
What's the Jets' first round pick? Remind me this year.
Number 13. It's 13.
Okay.
So you can look at somebody like that, or you can go offensive line. There's pros and there's cons with that. One of the pros being, hey, they do need help on the offensive line because there are injury concerns in the past with Dwayne Brown, Mekhi Becton, Elijah Vera Tucker. There have been a lot of injuries along that line. All 3 of them have missed time. Becton significantly over the course of the last 2 seasons, but did a great job his rookie season. Did a great job. Unfortunate injuries the last 2 seasons. Shit happens. What are you going to do? You build a bridge. You get over it. And I don't. It's tough with the draft because look at Aaron Rodgers, right? The Packers prepare to lose Aaron Rodgers because every year he comes in like, I don't know if he's doing the rigs. He's doing the Murtaugh every year. I'm getting too old for this shit. Every year he's doing it. Every year.
Will it to me, Riggs.
Will me, Riggs. Will me. Damn, that's a good movie. But So they draft Jordan Love in anticipation of this man retiring. And now, if you're the Jets, do you draft another tackle in anticipation of Becton injuring himself? And how does that establish your relationship with Becton?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Aaron Rodgers is none too happy with the Packers for basically saying you're done. That's what they did. They drafted Love and they said you're done. By the way, if they exercise Love's extension, that's $22.5 million, something like that. So if they don't trade Rodgers, they've now committed $80 million to two quarterbacks.
Right.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, listen, how many times we got to say it? The ball is definitely in Aaron Rodgers and the Jets' court. So I'm confident in him going to be here. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think to draft because of what ifs, and I think that's a luxury draft then. I think at that point, then you're saying we don't have any holes to plug and we're pretty set offensively. So we're gonna bring in somebody just in case somebody gets hurt. I think that's a little silly. I don't think a team normally would do something like that. I don't see it happening.
Especially with a first-round pick.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Areas of need, we could use another wide receiver if we don't trade for DeAndre Hopkins, who there's been interest in. We could use a wide receiver. We could use a defensive tackle. We could use an offensive tackle. We could use a safety, a dynamic safety. Our safeties are half decent right now. We could use a dynamic safety. But I think that brings us to a close with football. A word from our sponsor before we start our Whiskey of the Week segment.
Ooh.
Underdog Fantasy is here to save your post-fantasy football season blues. The easiest place to play and win with the Underdog Fantasy app. Get up to 20 times your money in a single night with our Pick'em contests. Grab some insurance when setting your picks and win even when one pick fails. Go online now and use the promo code Scoreboard to double your deposit up to $100. Sit gingerbread, good girl.
That's Underdog Fantasy. I'm a big fan of the underdog. And if you're looking for an underdog in the NBA, look for your New York Knickerbockers. They are the underdog. But before we get into the New York Knicks and what they're doing going up, we're going to get into
Whiskey of the Week.
So, TJ, I am whiskey free this week because I'm obviously out here in the field. At the field. I don't want anybody that's a veteran to see this and be like, you're in a room, you're not in the field. I promise you, there's a field right behind me with a whole bunch of artillerymen waiting to go out to the field behind me. I'm just not in that role anymore, so I'm out here in the barracks for the night. What are you drinking?
At the very least, Nick, I would expect you to make a little Pruno, a little prison wine in the toilet. Just saying. You'd make it right now, no big deal. But this week, I mean, I'm making a habit of going after bangers, but I got bangers behind the bar, and I'm going with a little Eagle Rare. 10-year aged Eagle. 45% alcohol by volume, 90 proof. Always a good time. I believe it's mash bill number 1 from Buffalo Trace. So, ooh, that smells just phenomenal. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm teasing you right now, Nick. I apologize. I'm pouring you one in spirit, but on the nose, I get a little like caramel, but more of a toffee side of caramel, if that makes sense. Like not a heavy caramel, but like a sweet, like candy, toffee type of
Tastes like candy.
Whatever, but very, very light but sweet, and a little floral. Give it a try. Oh my God. This is a problem with Eagle Rare. This is a problem with Buffalo Trace products. It is smooth. And I know I say a lot of things are smooth, but this is like it's 90 proof, so it's not overly proofed. But it's, it's got some kick. It's not your run-of-the-mill 80 proof basic whiskey, right? But this is at 90 proof. It is so smooth, 0 bite, almost light. I know I've been drinking a lot of proofy stuff, a lot of barrel strength bourbons, but it is very light. There's no bite to this whatsoever. I'm getting almost like it's not even a caramel, but a light honey sweetness on it. Definitely get a little bit of the barrel on there, like a little bit of wood, and then almost like a little zing of citrus, orange peel, maybe. a little bit of corn sweetness. If you're a whiskey person or a bourbon person, you know what I mean by a heavy corn bill. There's a certain certain taste that of sweetness that you can attribute to corn. It's hard to describe. I don't want to sit here and say it's like eating a piece of sweet Jersey corn or anything like that, but there's a corn sweetness to it also.
It's corn, a big lump of knobs. It has the juice. It has the juice.
This is dangerous. And I say the same thing about Blanton's. Every time I crack a bottle of Blanton's, it's smooth. It goes down quick. It's delicious. And well, I guess I'll be waking up late tomorrow.
But that's his review for Eagle Rare. That's our whiskey of the week. Before we get going, the New York Knickerbockers have made the playoffs in the NBA
Absolutely.
this year. Whatever MSG is rocking it. Say again?
I said 5th seed.
Fifth. You know what, though? I feel you know what it reminds me of? When I was a kid, the Knicks were good.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge basketball fan. I'm not. I often poo-poo on basketball. But whenever the Garden is rocking, I come a knocking because it's exciting. The environment, the celebrity.
I was just going to say, the environment is very like, you know that meme of the white arm and the black arm coming together and everybody uses it to like signify brotherhood or whatever?
It's from Predator, dude.
Is it?
It's Arnold Schwarzenegger with Carl Weathers.
Is that what it is? For some reason, I thought it was like from fucking Over the Top or some shit like that.
It's when Carl Weathers meets Arnold Schwarzenegger for the first, like they're reunited because they previously knew each other. Hey, what's going on? And they go bop, and then they take a picture of their biceps.
This bulging. You learn something new every day. But dude, it's just the shared energy between the Rangers and the Knicks. And both teams show up for each other because usually there's some kind of weird off day and somebody can go to a home game for a Knicks game, Rangers game, vice versa. And you have some players show up. It's a brotherhood. It's togetherness. New York City thrives when both teams are doing well. Oh, look at this.
Look at this guy. Got time to go to Honduras. Can't show up to the show.
Not for nothing. Let's go back to the Patriots Sports Network and these other guys because I'd appreciate that more. Fuck you, live from Honduras.
Patriots Sports East Coast Floral, yeah, because that, yeah. He has a whiskey of the week in Honduras. Fuck off, you.
Send him
anyway,
a link. Hold on, send him a link if he's serious. I would love to see. I'm telling you right now, before we get back to the Knicks, it's a cry for help because we're going to go straight to him, and him and his family are going to be sitting in a room with bags over their heads. Like, if you ever want to see your lawyer again, you're going to need to send us 5 bottles of Eagle Rare and a bag of nickels.
Oh, my God. Listen, I would love to, but the producer's giving me the cut it side. We were late on the show.
So, yeah, back to the Knicks. Knicks 5th seed, playing the Cavs in the 4th seed. Knicks are 47-35 this year. Cavs are 51-31. The Knicks did just trounce the Cavs 2 weeks ago, 130-116. So that's a good sign going into the playoffs. The only bad sign is Julius Randle and the question mark that is he going to play? Because he's showing up to practice. He's doing some drills, but they are non-contact drills. Again, I don't know what contract drills mean in the NBA because you're not allowed to touch each other. It's kind of silly.
No, what are you talking about? They do that whole thing where they stick their ass out and they bang it against the guy's crotch. I see it. I see it all the time. All right.
I don't know if that's the NBA or some other hobby that you're into.
They do this. It's like this. They twerk. They twerk a little bit.
You got to be careful, dude, with that Puerto Rican donk. Somebody's going to come in there and be like, "Soldier, you're not allowed to have weapons in the barracks."
So you twerk a little bit, right? You do like 2 twerks, and then you fake the ball, and then you twerk some more. You dribble once, and then you twerk some more. That's the NBA in a nutshell. That's how you drive the lane these days.
Apparently.
And then you immediately bang out to a guy to shoot for a 3 that he probably won't make because that's how you score in the NBA right now. That's why we have 134 points to 116 every game. But I look forward to our New York Knicks going out there. They're named after me, so I feel good about that. I look forward to them going out there.
You're Knickerbocker Velasquez?
Yeah, I am. All that being said, New York Knicks are in the playoffs. Look for them. Look for the Rangers. Watch the Yankees. Check out the Mets. You can forget about the Islanders and the Devils because, the Devils are New Jersey. Who gives a shit?
Fair.
And look for us in the Scoreboard Addicts next week, same time, same channel, and watch our other shows that we have over here on Fantasy Sports Core. We'll catch you next time. I'm Nick. He's TJ, and we love you.